My name is Courtney Curtis. I have been attending Family Community Church, crazily, I didn't realize it was this many years, but 14 years, since about 2006, so 2006. At this point, I was going to introduce some of my family, but my mom is at home resting. My mom, Susan Curtis, she usually sits back over there. My sister, Shamati Curtis, she's serving in the nursery right now. Oh, and there she is right there, actually videotaping. My sister, Shamati. And then I have another sister, Amber Curtis, and then I have 3 nephews, so that's my family. First, I wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share during this time, in which we are celebrating the church's 25th anniversary. Thank you, Pastor McGinsey. Thank you, Janetta. I need to tease her later, because I don't see her, and she made me come up here. Thank you to the ministers, and thank you to the church family. The theme this week, in celebration of our church's anniversary, is possessing the land and building God's house. And I am going to try to share a little of my testimony as it relates to this theme. For those of you that know me well, some know that I'm a PK, a pastor's kid, with my father pastoring a couple of different churches while I was growing up. And he later served as a church starter strategist, helping start churches all over California for the Southern Baptist Convention. I share this because I have attended a lot of churches over the last 37 years on this earth that I've spent. And I must say that there are not many churches out there like this place, Family Community Church. It is because of Family Community Church and God's grace and mercy that I am here today, and successfully making it through the last 14 years that I've lived here in Fresno. Over the past 14 years, a lot has happened and changed in my life. When I first started attending family, I was 23 years old. And now I'm on the verge of turning 37 in a couple of weeks, which means I'm an old man now. So I'm getting old. I'll be ready to retire in about 20 and a half years. So, some of what I have to share, some of you've heard in the past. A lot has happened in these 14 years. I have lost family members I hold dear, like my grandmother Curtis, who always called me her #1 grandson. My mom was diagnosed with and battles Parkinson's disease, which took her to some pretty low places when she was first dealing with it. My only brother became estranged to the family. My parents got a divorce after almost 30 years of marriage. And since 2013, I have battled back and forth with high blood pressure, showing up from time to time, along with the anxiety that can cause. But through it all, I can say, and I can and must say, that God has been more than good to me. And it is because of this body of believers that I'm here. During the past 14 years I've attended family, I have felt the love of the members here. And I have felt the prayers of many of you, especially Sister McGinsey, who I look up to as a school leader and a church mom to me. And I didn't have this in my speech, but I'm going to call her out. Even Nicole Collins in the back, my good friend, she's helped me get through a lot of things as well. I have grown closer to God due to the leadership here, inviting me to complete the 2 years of leadership courses. I have been blessed to see many of our children here at Family grow from being middle school students to college students, serving in the past as a teacher to them on Sundays. Lastly, I have seen the successes that I have in my work because of the support of so many of you in this room. 2006 marked my first year as a teacher, and in that time I have gone from teaching to being a vice principal, and now to currently serving as interim principal at Gaston Middle School. And Gaston Middle School is a very special place that I am blessed I was helped to plan and prior to its official opening in 2014. I was not here 25 years ago when Pastor McGinsey was given the vision to start the church here, nor was I here when the campaign began to possess the land and to build this place. But I know that even though I was not a part of that work, nor in the minds necessarily of those people doing that work at the time, I know that God knew that I was coming here and that I needed a place to worship, a place to grow closer to Him, a place to work so that I too can help build God's house for those that will come after me. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." And in another translation, it says, "Put God in charge of your work. Then what you have planned will take place." Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." And in Jeremiah 29:11, which many of us have heard, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." I quote all of these verses to call out that God has a plan for your life, just as he has a plan for mine. I never would have thought that I would be here where I am today, but because I trusted in him and followed his leading, when he called on me to build things for his glory, I can stand before you today. And then my last part here. So God calls on all of us to be a part of building God's house. Every single one of us in this room here. Whether that is to serve in one of the many ministries, to give to the church through tithes and offerings, to invite others to church, and to tell them about Jesus. And to build his house through the work that we do in our daily lives. So it's not just about what we do here when we're sitting on Sundays, but what are we doing the other 6 days a week? And serving God at Gaston, where I serve, even though not everyone is okay with the idea of Christianity and serving Jesus, I try to lead in a way that shows that he is a part of my life, so that people see that there is something a little bit different about me. Matthew 8:13 through 16 in the Message translation sums up my point about how each of us should be when we leave this place on Sundays in order to continue building God's house. It reads, "Let me tell you why you are here. You are here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness and will end up in the garbage." Here's another way in putting it. You're here to be the light, bringing out the God colors in this world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I put you here on the hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. Be open to others. You'll prompt people to be open with God. This generous Father in heaven. My prayer as I end is that in my role as principal that I am building God's house, even when I'm not in this physical building here, and that each of us in this room does the same. Thank you, Pastor McGinsey, and to those that came along to possess the land and build God's house. Happy 25th anniversary.